What's goody though? How's everybody doing out there, man? I'm so excited. Unfortunately, guys, this week I do not have a guest for you. For anybody that's new out there, you have come in to my living room, the All About You podcast. We are here in South Philadelphia. It sounds like Soma Studios, and I'm so excited. You might ask me why. Daryl, why are you excited? I'm about to get there. First, I do have a story to tell you guys. It's very important that I tell you guys this story because I do want to motivate somebody. I do want to inspire somebody. So we're going to get there. But before I get there, I want to have a celebration, guys. Why? Why you want to have a celebration? Because you guys have supported and you continue to support. And I know you guys are going to keep supporting as we keep building this thing up on YouTube, guys. We are at 100 subscribers. Yes, we're going to clap it up. All About You podcast has reached 100 subscribers. We are on our way to 1,000 subscribers. I can't do that without you guys. So look, if you love the content that I'm putting out there, I need you guys to like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Not only like, comment, and subscribe, because y'all hear that all the time, right? I need y'all to share the content, especially if you find something that's super valuable to you and your life, if something portrays or if something connects with you. Please share it because you don't know if this content could change somebody's perspective about their day or how they're feeling or anything like that. So please, I ask you guys, share the content. That being said, let's talk. I had an older guy come into my store. For all of you that don't know where I work, I work at a Verizon. I'm a manager for Verizon, right? I had a guy come into my store. When he first initially came into my store, this guy was bent over. He had like this wagon that he carried his breathing tank on. He had the breathing tank in his nose, and it helped him kind of, stay high, or not hydrated, but stay ventilated, let's say, right? So it gave him extra air to help him breathe, right? He's guy's like 86 years old. So he came in with his wife, and he wasn't doing good, guys. Long story short, I think he was having some issues with his heart, some clots up in there, and he was really struggling. That was 6 months ago. Guy came into my store this week, same exact guy, 86 years old, walking tall, healthy, talking really, really well. And if you guys know, because my mom had the same type of tank where it kind of pumps air into your nose to give your lungs more support to help you breathe. So if you guys don't know about that, or if you guys never seen it, it is a sight to behold, and not in a good way, right? It's something that I didn't feel really good seeing my mother. I didn't feel really good about the situation, seeing my mother on it. However, it was there to support her breathing, and she needed it for a small amount of time. Luckily, at the time, she was able to get off of it. And the same thing with this guy. But this week he came in, he was super healthy, man. And I didn't recognize him. And he came in and he smiled at me and he was saying all this good stuff about me. And I'm like, I don't even know this guy. Like, where's he getting all this stuff? Like, how's he feel this way about me? And I don't know him. And then he reminded me of who he was. And he said, listen, Daryl, when I came in, you were so nice, man. You were asking questions. You asked me if I needed anything. You got me a bottle of water. I still didn't remember, guys. I still didn't remember. But then he talked about a specific conversation that we had. And for anybody who know me, you might not know me. That's okay. But I am a huge believer in God, right? And the first time he came in, we were talking about church. We're talking about the good side of church, the bad side of church. And he really connected with me. Apparently, he connected with me enough to remember who I am. And he wanted to come in and tell me his story. And I want to tell you guys this story because it's so uplifting. Let me tell you the reason why he came into the store. He came into the store that way I could take a picture of the blood of the clots that was in his heart. They gave him a picture of each clot that they removed from his heart. And it was 3 clots. It was like a triangle. 1, 2, 3. I'm trying to paint a picture for you guys. And each clot, it looked like a spider web, each clot, right? And he said, look, I want you to take a picture. That way, when I'm talking to people about it, when I'm giving my testimony, I have something to show them, right? I have something to give them. That way they're not just hearing it, they're experiencing it. Even though they're not on an operating table going through this with me, I want people to experience this as if they went through it, right? And so as he was talking, as he broke it down, man, I gotta say, if you guys don't believe that there is a God out there, the story that I'm about to tell you guys will 100% solidify, I hope it does, solidify an idea of who God is and why God is who he is and why he's so strong, why he's so believable and undeniable, right? So he walked me through the day he got the surgery. He said he was in Coatesville, PA. He had to go all the way to West Philadelphia. And in West Philadelphia, there's a hospital called Lincoln Hospital. So he went all the way, he came all the way from Coatesville. He went all the way from Coatesville to Lincoln Hospital, which is a pretty good travel. It was about 45 minutes to an hour away. And at Lincoln, they saw a clot in his heart. This was even after I had saw him the first time when he came in with his wagon, when he came in with the, breathing machine and everything. So they said, listen, we have to do surgery right now, like immediately. And we don't have a lot of time, right? We don't have a lot of time. We want to run some tests, make sure you're good. We want to make sure that you're strong enough to get through this procedure, right? And I think that's a big part of it, because a lot of people feel like you could just go in the hospital, hey, you can have a procedure and you're good to go. Unfortunately, that's not true for everybody. So I pray that everybody is in really good health. For this older 86-year-old gentleman, it was 100% true for him. He went in, they said, hey, I want to see if we can get those clots removed, like right now, right away, right? And they wasn't able to do the surgery at Lincoln because they didn't have the means, they didn't have the people power to do it. And so they shipped him over to Temple Hospital. I think he said it was like an hour or hour and a half away. I'm going to push pause because I want to tell you guys why this is so meaningful to me. At some point, we all get into a situation. We all go into this part of life where it feels like we can't turn to anybody for help. It feels like there's not a single person on this earth that can help us with the things that we're going through at a particular moment, right? And my question to you guys is, if you ever feel like that, right? Do you know what prayer does? Do you know how prayer makes you feel? And if you feel like you don't know how to pray, that's okay. Literally, prayer is a conversation. So just like you were having a conversation with your cousin, your mom, your sister, your aunt, your uncle, your dad, your brother, no matter who it is, it's just like having a conversation with them. It's acknowledgement that he exists. It's acknowledgement that he is the Almighty. It's the acknowledgement that he carries the world in the palm of his hands, and he will 100% lead you down the right path. Now, I want to get back to the story. This 86-year-old gentleman now is at Temple Hospital. And they say, hey, sir, listen, we have to do an emergency surgery. We can't do it now, but we need you back within the next 2 to 3 days in order to do this surgery. But before you leave, we want to make sure you're strong enough to do this surgery. And so they tested him. I think he said it's an Asian guy. I forget the Asian guy's name at Temple Hospital, but it's the Asian guy who did the surgery for him. And he went back 3 days later. And actually, I don't want to miss this part of the story. So I told you guys, he lived in Coatesville. He had to go all the way to Temple Hospital, which is a little further from, Lincoln than it is Temple. So, right. So that's like, now, Lincoln to Temple is about 45 minutes to an hour. Coatesville to Lincoln is 45 minutes to an hour. Coatesville to Temple Hospital it's about an hour, 15 minutes, hour, 20 minutes. So it's a good difference. And so in the morning, you can imagine he had to be there very early. I believe he said 7 o'clock. So he had to get up maybe about 5 o'clock in order, and probably earlier than that. I'm just kind of putting this part of the story together. But he had to be there at 7 o'clock. So I can imagine getting up 4:30 in the morning, having to get in the car, not understanding how, or he understood how severe the surgery would be. And dude, I can only imagine. All right, so him and his wife gets into the car. He said his wife turned the music up because he liked, soul music, right? We all like that old Motown music. Ain't no stopping us not, right? We all like the old school music, yo. I get a smile just thinking about it because that music, it makes you feel so good, right? He said his wife turned on the music real loud, right? Because she wanted his spirit to be calm, right? As he's going into this major surgery, as he's going into this scary, scary time. His wife turned on the music that makes you feel good, music that opens you up, music that wants you to it gets you to dance, it gets you to jig a little bit. You know what I mean? And he said he heard nothing. All he was concentrating on was talking to God the whole time. See, that part I can understand. I'm gonna tell you why I can understand a little later. But when you're concentrating solely on God, there's something that completely makes you go. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. You don't hear anything. You don't see anything. You're focused. Maybe if you play sports, or if you are a musician, or if you are a business owner and you get into that mode, it's like, man, I'm concentrating so hard that I can't hear anything. I'm so focused that I can't hear anything. I am not focused on anything to the right of me. I'm not focused on anything to the left of me. I'm just focused on my goal, my objective. And that's what he said. He said, as he was sitting in the car and the music was blaring loud, he heard nothing, but he was talking to God. And he said in his talks with God on the way from his house in Coatesville to his appointment in Temple Hospital, all he could do was hear the word of God. And he said the word of God said, it's going to be all right. And I know you guys heard that before. It's going to be all right. Don't worry about it. It's going to be all right. And you might have heard that from somebody very close to you. You might have heard that from a grandparent. You might have heard that from a best friend. You might have heard that from your mother, your husband, your wife. You might have heard it from somebody very close to you. It's going to be all right. But I do believe it hits different when you kind of hear it, when you can feel it come from God, when you can feel it come from God. It gives you some sort of happy juice. Pause. But but it gives you some type of feeling that's unexplainable. And he talked about talking to God until he got there. And anybody that's ever had any type of surgery, and regardless of what you think, I got stitches. That's a surgery. Might not think it's a surgery. It's a small surgery, but it's a surgery, right? No matter what type of surgery you have, they have to prep you for surgery, right? They have to prep you. If you have stitches like I did, they would get a needle and they would put the needle directly in, or they would deposit, I think they would deposit the needle directly on the side of the nerve that is damaged, and your finger would go numb. But before they do that, they have to clean it. They have to wipe it. They have to make sure there's no debris around it. Why? Because you don't want the wound to get infected. And it's the same thing in this case. So as he's laying there getting ready for surgery, as he's laying there getting cleaned up, right? All he could think about was God. And I don't, a lot of people might be saying, dang, Daryl, you really talking about religion today. I'm talking about belief. It's not just about the religion. I'm talking about belief. Having faith in something. See, you guys are going to get lost. You guys are going to get lost in this story, and it's not about the story. That's just one man. I'm talking about faith. I'm talking about having faith in something outside of yourself. Back to the story. So as he's laying there getting prepared, as they're prepping him, all he could think about is God. All he could think about was what was on the other side of the surgery, not the surgery itself. Because based on the conversation that he had with God already, he knew he would make it out of the surgery, regardless of the not logistics, but regardless of the details that was told to him about how the surgery was going to go. And I'm telling you, the details are pretty darn scary, man. The details of this surgery is pretty scary. So the doctors roll him into the OR. And if you don't know what an OR is the operating room. They roll him in, and they gave him, I think he said they gave him some, it wasn't gas. They gave him some liquid, and they told him it was going to be very cold. And they told him to count from 10 or something. They just told him to count backwards. I'm not going to give you a number. They told him to count backwards. And he starts to count, and immediately he said, I was out of it. He couldn't, he don't even remember what happened after that, right? But fast forward, the surgery was a total of 6 hours. 6 hours. I remember when my mom, in 2015, my mom went to University of Penn Hospital to have a thoracic surgery, which is a surgery that opens you up from the top of your chest cavity down to the bottom of your chest cavity. That way she can have a mass removed. That took 3 hours to do that surgery, right? But I'm just imagining, right? 6 hours to be in surgery. That's a very, very long time. And his wife went with him. I think he said his son was in a car. So his son, it was his wife, his son in a car, and him. So all three of them went. So I can imagine, because I remember how I felt when my mom went into surgery for those 3 hours. I was a mess. Like, the only thing that was going through my head was, man, God, I hope and I pray that she makes it out of the surgery. Luckily, she did make it out the surgery. But I can imagine how his wife felt. And she was sitting, like, as he was telling me this whole story, she was sitting right next to us, right? And I can imagine how his wife felt, how his son felt, because the details of this surgery was gruesome. I mean, gruesome. And I hope I tell the story in a way that it does inspire or motivate somebody out there to just believe in something outside of yourself, like I said earlier, right? But he went to sleep. As this was explained to him, it is something super, super scary. They had to open him up. They had to completely, not partially, they had to completely remove his heart. I mean, completely, like there's nothing there. Can you imagine that? Like you're laying there lifeless. They basically had to take his life in order to save his life. What? They had to take his life in order to save his life. I can't fathom anything of the sort. They removed his heart. They had to have him on life support while they were doing this incredible, incredible surgery. So he had to put his life in God's hand. It's not about the surgeon. It's not about the person who is doing the surgery or helping him out with the surgery. It's not about his wife. It's not about his son. It's not about him at this point. He put his life in God's hands. And I just want to tell you guys, if you do not believe in something outside of yourself, you cannot understand what this life truly means. Allow yourself to believe in something outside of yourself. See, we're all focused on selfish things. It's all about us, right? It's all about you, right? You're all that matters, right? Your kids are all that matters. Like that's all that matters to you. But how lonely will you be when you go through these types of situations where it's not about you? How strong is your faith? Back to the story. This guy explained to me exactly what had to happen. And I needed this story. It allows for me to appreciate other people, man. And the thing, you don't know what other people go through. You really don't. And you might take somebody for granted. But you don't understand what this life truly means, man. How well you have it. They said he had to take his heart. They took his heart out. They had to put his heart on this warm, I think your heart has to be a certain temperature in order to stay alive, I guess I could say. I don't have another word for it. So they had to put his heart on this table that was heated, and it had to be the perfect temperature in order for the heart to stay alive while his body was lifeless, living off a machine. As they took these clots away, man, imagine, bro. Imagine, sis. Some of you had already gone through something like this. I commend you. I clap my hand to you because you made it through. See, for some of you, it might not be a surgery. For some of you, it could be some bills. You might feel like you're down and out because the job ain't paying you enough money. You got to live paycheck to paycheck and find out how to grind this thing out in order to continue to sustain. You might be in a position where your kids are going through something major, where their mental health is not all together, and you have to be there for support. And sometimes as parents, when we're put in positions or we're put in situations, even as a son or a daughter, no matter where your relationship lays, but sometimes you just feel helpless when you can't do anything. When somebody that you truly love is going through the situations and the things that they're going through, and you're just like, I wish I could help. I wish I could do something to help. After a while, you have to believe that there is nothing that you can do, and all that you can do is put it in God's hands. Put it in God's hands. In this story of the 86-year-old man that I truly love is the fact that he was able to share it. Like I think about that. It's like, all right, so you're in surgery for 6 hours. Your body has no way of living outside of a machine, and your heart is on a table while a doctor can work on it, knowing that all it takes is one slip up for anything to go crazy and you're out of here, right? Or it takes one wrong move by a doctor and you're out of here. Or it takes one misstep in the machine and something can go wrong in the machine and you're out of here. Like all it takes is for one thing to go wrong, not multiple, just one. And guess what? He made it out. He lived long enough. Well, excuse me. He's still living. So I don't want to say long enough. Let me correct that. Rewind. But he's still living to give his testimony, to talk about the things that he went through, to know that he's still standing strong, to feel an obligation to tell his story to somebody he only met once, and somebody he happened to resonate with, somebody he happened to connect with, somebody he happened to want to talk to about this experience in his life, because he knew that by him telling me, I would tell somebody else, because I am a man of my word. And I always tell you guys, if I don't tell you, or if you never heard me say, I always say it. Maybe not on camera, but you're hearing it now. You have to have a story, but your story is not yours. See, we all get that messed up. We think because it's our life, we have to hold things in. Like we got to just hold it. Nobody knows how I feel, right? Nobody cares about what I'm going through. Nobody wants to hear about my situation and, oh, whoa, it's me. Nobody wants to hear that. I disagree with all of you, because whether you feel like somebody wants to talk about your situation or not, you don't know how your story can change somebody's life. You don't know who your story could change. I think I said that right. But you don't know. By this man coming in and telling me this, I just happened to be inspired by it. Now, after he came out of surgery, of course, right, he has to go through recovery. In recovery, your siblings, your loved ones, they can come in and, as you're laying there, he still didn't wake up for an hour, because after surgery, I guess your body still has to rest, right? And the medicine has to wear off. And so after an hour, he came to, but his wife was standing there, his son was standing there, and his wife just smiled and she said, "You made it." Somebody, yo, you guys, I don't know what this story is doing for you, right? I don't know how this story is making you feel. I don't know if this story can change anything inside of you, right? Like something's telling me to tell you this story. But if you ever love somebody and you've ever been afraid that something can happen to the person you love, and you feel your heart pitter patter, right? You feel those butterflies in your stomach. You're nervous. You're shaking. Your mind is going 1,000,000 miles per hour. I don't know if there's anything that could possibly settle you. I just don't know if it is, right? I don't know if there is a way to calm somebody's nerves unless you do have faith, right? Like, I don't know if there's a embrace that can happen that will calm your spirit enough to know that your loved one might not make it through the surgery. Like that's a scary feeling, man. I've experienced that. My sister experienced that. My brother experienced that. My nieces, my nephew, my kids, we all experienced that when my mother went into the hospital to have thoracic surgery to get a mass removed. Luckily, the mass was benign. Luckily, she made it through the surgery. But the 3 hours for us, the people that's not in the surgery, the longest 3 hours of our life. At that particular time, I can imagine how this man's wife and how his son felt standing by his bedside as they console him, as they say, yes, you made it. You're good. You can smile now. I don't know what type of understanding you have to have about God that will completely remove all fear. I don't know if I have ever been in a situation, and I have been in very, very many situations where I have asked God to save my life, and He has. I don't know if I was that fearful. Not as fearful as giving my life or putting my life in a doctor's hands. And I have absolutely no control over the outcome. Bro, sis, sheesh. I mean, when he finished telling me his story, man, that was the end of the story, by the way. When he finished telling me his story, I had a tear in my eye. My voice was shivering. My hands kind of went weak, so weak that it was hard for me to hold him up and help him with his phone, right? And I looked at his wife, and his wife was just smiling the whole time he was telling his story. It wasn't her that was in the operating room, but the look on her face said that she went through just as much as he did as he was laying lifeless on that table, as a man was doing surgery on his heart, and as he talked about having faith in God. She just smiled. Didn't say a word. The whole time she was in there, didn't say a word. She just allowed him to tell a story. A story that has changed my perspective on life. Like, I would be lying to you if I told you that I appreciated life more before he told his story. I mean, I went through a lot of my stuff, and you know, I can tell my story a million times over because I know my story, but a story so powerful as that, a story that could change the way you think about God, a story that supersedes, in my opinion, a lot of other stories. Like, it's not about the story, it's about the detail. It's about the opportunity to see from somebody else's eyes what God means, what faith is. I am in awe of God. I gotta tell you, I am. Like, it's unbelievable. I've had my experiences with God. I've had my physical experience with God, and it was unbelievable, and it was scary, but scary good, right? I've had my God saved my life experience when I almost drowned when I was very, very young. I've been in multiple car accidents. I'm telling you, I've had my experiences with God. I have built up enough faith in Him that I feel like I can make it through anything. However, I have never went through a situation where I am lying on a table and put my life in a doctor's hands. I don't know what that means to you guys. But what that means to me is that's the ultimate testament to God. That's the ultimate faith. Why am I telling you this story? Let's talk about it. I have faith that all of you will come out of any situation that you're going through right now. I have faith that with whatever trials, whatever tribulation you're going through, that God will walk you through it. If you're looking for a job, guess what? You'll find one. If you're looking for love, guess what? You'll find it. If you're looking for companionship, you'll get it. If you're looking for money, you got it. I want to tell you guys that I believe in you just as much as you believe in yourself. The only reason why I do is because I have faith that you also have faith in God. I wanted to share this with you guys. I also got something else I want to talk about, but I wanted to share that story with you guys because that's a big one. That's a big one. That's a testimony that I will never forget. Ever forget. I thank that 86-year-old gentleman for sharing that with me. And I did. I asked him if it was okay for me to share it with you guys. And he said, absolutely. So I do. I hope it changes your perspective. If not a lot, even a little bit, I'm okay with that. All right. I wanted to give you guys that. So I'm going to clap it up because I feel like I did an amazing job telling that story. Thank you. Thank you, crowd. We don't have a crowd in here. It's just me and Zach. But guess what? Thank you to the crowd. I do believe I told the story the way I needed it to, and hopefully it does resonate with you guys. An event happened this weekend. Shout out to the Roots. I think it's the weekend. This is the Roots weekend picnic or the Roots picnic weekend. I think I said it right that time. An event happened this weekend. It was a rap. I'm huge into rap battle, like battle rap. I'm huge into it. I love battle rap, man. I like the aggressiveness. I like the competitiveness. I like the banter, the back and forth between two competitors. I just love it. For me, it gets my juices running, right? It gets me going. It makes me want to compete in everything that I do. So I absolutely love battle rap. So in the morning, as I'm riding to work, I put on a couple battle rap events, and I'll just rock out, right? Lately, one of our rappers here in Philadelphia, one of our battle rappers, Easy the Block Captain, shout out to Easy the Block Captain. He's been going through a situation with another rap league, right? And this is another lesson that I want to give you guys, right? He's been going through a situation where he talks about, or not talk about, but he went through a situation where he left a certain league, and that league didn't want him to leave, right? They didn't want him to go to another league and battle in that league. And he said, look, I'm going to do what's best for my career. And what's best for my career is to go to this other league and battle a said individual. And there's always consequences to every action, no matter whether it's positive or negative. There's going to be something going on where you have to react, or life is going to react to it. And he left. He came back. He left. He did the battle. And things went left, right? Like now there's this like uproar. Oh my goodness, Easy don't want to come back. You know what I mean? So because he don't, let me get it right because I don't want to tell the story wrong. Oh my goodness, he left. He's against this, right? This is the other league I'm talking about. But long story short, he ended up putting his own event together, and the other league tried to block the event. They didn't want the event to happen because obviously, if you leave our league, we don't want to see you succeed, right? But he started his own event. The other league pulled some artists out of the card for Easy the Block Captain. So now he's stuck with trying to put an event together that he already booked and needing to get more people to fill a slot, right? He ended up having one of the most successful events in all of battle rap this year. All of battle rap. And I say that, and I'm telling the story wrong. I'm fumbling over my words because I want to give you guys the best content I can. And I'm sorry if I'm not if I'm not painting a picture right. But where I'm trying to get to is, regardless of any obstacles that was in his way, regardless of all the hate that was received by Easy the Block Captain, regardless of any people, anybody talking bad about him, and regardless of any of that, he still threw an unbelievable event. So for you guys, I want to tell you guys, like, anything in your life that can happen will happen. And some of the things that can happen, you can't control. And the question is, how are you going to react? Remember, I said earlier, every action gets a reaction. But when things happen to you and you react a negative way, you're putting that energy out there. And so you're going to receive something back for the energy that you put out there. And when you receive something back, are you receiving it as a negative? Or are you receiving it as a positive? I have this issue with, and I'm only one person, you know, I got my opinions. I have this issue with people that think that they're the first person to go through something in life. Like, because it's my life, because it's me, I am the first person to ever go through anything like this. No, you're not. No, you're not. It's been millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of people walk this earth way before you, well before you. You're not the first person to go through what you're going through right now. You're not. This goes back to what I said earlier. Your story is not your own. And the reason why I say that is because everybody does have a testimony, and our testimony paints a picture for the generations to come. And those generations, they want to know how they should live their life. And the only way they can see positive out of a negative situation is if you tell your story, or if they go through the situation themselves. And I'm telling you, if you tell your story to that child, to that a young adult, they will remember that story. They will use the keys that you give them to drive a new car so they don't go down the same road that you went down. Remember, your story is not your own. And it's important for you guys to break those chains. Break that chain of quietness. Break that chain of stubbornness. Just break it, because you don't know. You might not see it today. You might not see it tomorrow. You might not see it in the future. You might not see it while you're on this earth. But you could save somebody's life through your story, through your testimony. That's why I'm sharing the story, even if I don't tell the story in a good way, right? Even if the story sucks, I still gave you a story because this story is relevant to your life. And I care about each and every one of you. Anybody that watched the All About You podcast, anybody that's been sitting right beside me on this podcast, anybody, I care about you because you are worthy. You're worthy of this story. You're worthy of these testimonies. I might not be able to paint the picture like Picasso, but guess what? I can paint a picture. It's like a kid in kindergarten, right? When they do the hand painting stuff and they paint the picture and they see this picture beautifully in their mind, and you bring it home and you're like, "What's that?" And you make this ugly face. Oh my God, that picture ugly. Ugh. And they're so happy about it, and the way you react to it, they might not want to paint another picture ever again in life. But all right, maybe I'm going on a tangent, right? But I'm just saying, like, it's okay to paint a picture no matter how ugly it is, because it's beautiful to you. And I feel like when we are so caught up on ourselves, when we're so caught up on the things that we go through, and we're not looking to the left of us, we're not looking to the right of us, we're just all about us. We only care about me. I don't need faith in anything. I don't need any help with anything. I don't need any help from anyone. I'm living on my ego. All right. Cool. But I want you to tell me after you go through all the things that you're going through, how'd that work out for you? Listen, it's the All About You podcast, man. And whether or not I have a guest on here, whether or not I can deliver a story well or not, I'm going to make sure that you guys are as entertained as I possibly can make you as you're watching this, right? Because when you do tune in, I want you to see something genuine in me, right? I don't want you to tune in and say, this guy's acting. This guy's an actor. He's another YouTuber. He's another podcaster. I don't want you to do that, man. Like, I really want the content to be able to touch you in a way where it can change your life, right? And in any way, I don't care if it's an increment. It will change something about you, I hope, right? I don't want you to waste your time looking at the things that we talk about here or listening to the things that we talk about here. I want you guys to really take something from every episode. Shout out, by the way, I just thought about this. Shout out to Rasan Weaver. I had him on last week. And if you guys don't know, Capital MD, I was able to make a connection with one of my guys to Rasan. And just out of this podcast, Rasan got some business. So I do want to say, if you do have a organization that you have, whether it's a nonprofit, for-profit, doesn't matter. If you have an organization, if you have anything that you need support on, it's called the All About You podcast because it's literally all about you guys. Like, I want you guys to come on here and talk about it. Talk about why your stuff is important. I said this the first episode. I'm going to say it again. I don't care how many times I got to say it again. It's all about you at the end of the day, right? And so if you want success and you want more eyes on you, tune in because this podcast is about to become the biggest podcast that you guys have ever seen. Remember, I joked last week and I said I could be the best ever. I'm not joking. I'm serious. I could be the best to ever do this thing. Why? Because I have faith, because I believe, and because I'm serious and genuine about everything that I talk about here, right? For you guys that don't know, I don't want you to forget that I am a life coach, okay? I care about how I can help in ways that other people might not be able to, right? See, I want to be there for you. I want to help where I can. All that I ask is that you guys, the All About You podcast crew, I'm going to call you guys my crew. All I can ask is that you give me the opportunity. You know, today I did a really good job. You guys might not tell me that I did a good job, but you don't have to. It's okay. You might not leave a comment in that comment section saying, Daryl, you killed this joint. Daryl, you damn unbelievable. That's cool. Because I know I did. Woo! I celebrate on my own, baby. But I want you guys to celebrate with me. Listen, I am so happy that God has allowed me to sit in front of you guys, tell you a story that could possibly change your life, and do it in a way, I hope, that will give you enough motivation to get out there and do the things that you want to do in life and need to do in life. If for nothing else, man, I just want to say thank you guys for tuning in. I want to say thank Zach for allowing me to come on to the All About You podcast and film here at the Sounds Like Soma Studios in South Philadelphia. And I want to make sure that you guys support too. So if you have a podcast, if you are a musician who needs to record, if you are a poet, I don't know what you do, right? If you are, tune in. Zach's going to put his information right here. Sounds like Soma Studios in South Philadelphia. He's going to put his information down on the bottom of the screen, and you guys are going to be able to tap in if you do want to get your own podcast going. If you have music that you want to put down and record, Zach will make sure that you guys know his information. And I just thank him so much because you guys see the quality. The quality is really, really good. I mean, this guy's awesome. And he is such a great individual outside of this. You know, he's always treated me good. And he continues to step his game up. And he continues to take it another level. But I do want to, as I start to get out of here, I want to say thank you and a healthy thank you to my lovely fiance, Maria. She supports me so much. But because my sister is mad at me, and I'm going to make sure I make a short out of this, Sadiqa, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you, boo-boo. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. That's for you, big sis. My sis mad at me because I forgot to call her on her birthday. Don't ever be too busy or too busy to call your siblings on their birthday. Try to reach out to them. I don't care how busy you are. My sister mad at me. This is the way I feel like I need to make it up to her. So she will hear this. But before I get out of here, again, to everybody who's looking at this on YouTube, please like, comment, subscribe, and share, especially if you really agree with the content. Peace, love, boom, we out, baby!